I, 37M, started being a father at a very young age. My now late wife and I had our son, 20M, before we were even 17. Sadly, she passed away suddenly at 22, not long after we got married, and I've been a single dad ever since. It's been tough, but I believe I did my best up until this point. I haven't had time for any relationships, really, until I met her. I threw myself completely into being a dad and concentrating on my business. I'm not saying I've been a monk, I just haven't had anything serious, never anyone serious enough to introduce to my son. That changed a little under 3 years ago, when I met someone who I thought could fix the broken pieces of me, AJ, 25F. I wasn't expecting it, but before long, I was head over heels for her. The first 6 months or so were more casual, but when we realized we loved each other, we made it official. I was even planning to ask her to marry me next month on her 26th birthday, and I was going to ask my son to be my best man. I didn't introduce them at first because I wasn't sure how he'd take it, so we waited a while, but after they met last year, we've all hung out regularly since then, and everything was good. This year, however, they haven't seen each other much due to the lockdown and him being at university, but I didn't think much of that. I didn't get to see her that much either last month due to the lockdown again. However, I've noticed that as the past couple of weeks have gone by, she's been a bit moody and quiet. I asked her about it, and she chalked it up to just being stressed and overwhelmed. Similarly, I have noticed my son being a bit withdrawn as well, but I assumed he's just been busy with school. When I finally saw her again this weekend, I really noticed it, so I called her out on it. It took some time, but she broke down crying, and admitted she cheated on me. I was shocked, to say the least, and I tried to get her to explain what she meant. She, again, confessed that she cheated on me, and it wasn't with some random stranger or a coworker, no, it was with my son. Just before lockdown started in November, she was out with her friends and bumped into my son at a bar. They had a couple drinks together, shared a taxi, and ended up smashing that night. I basically threw her out right then and there, saying I never wanted to see her again. She was begging, pleading, and making a scene for me to forgive her, but I didn't have time to deal with that. I called my son to come over, and I confronted him immediately after he got here. He admitted everything AJ said was true, saying it was a huge mistake and was just in the moment, and begged me to forgive him. I told him he was no longer welcome in my home, and that I didn't want to look at him anymore. He didn't have anywhere else to stay, so he's at my mom's house at the moment. I haven't told her what he did, but she knows it's serious, given how close we have always been. AJ has been blowing up my phone and email, begging for another chance, and so has my son. I've packed up all, if not most of her belongings, and left it in front of her garden in a garbage bag. I even threw in the Christmas presents I got her too, let her enjoy them early. I'm absolutely distraught. These were the two people I loved most in the world. I wanted to marry her, maybe have kids with her, and spend the rest of my life with her. And likewise, he wasn't just my son, he was my best friend. I sacrificed so much for him to give him an amazing life, and they've both betrayed me in the worst way possible. I don't think I'll ever forgive them. They're welcome to each other as far as I'm concerned. I feel so empty. Edit. I forgot to add that I've booked myself in at the Clap Clinic. If I can't trust her not to cheat on me once, who knows how many times she's done it. For everyone saying what I should do next time, there's not going to be a next time. I'm done with women, love, relationships, everything. Update 1. I posted yesterday on another sub that reached the front page and was quickly pulled for getting out of hand. It's definitely over between me and her, and I'm working on a way to communicate just how hurt she's made me feel and what it's done to me before I cut contact forever. It hurts so much because I've been on my own for years after my wife passed, and she's the only person I've let in enough to be in a relationship with, but I feel I was stupid enough to believe someone so young would truly be interested in me. I let my guard down and let the wrong person in. I can't feel awful enough about that. Maybe I deserve to be alone if that's who I find. I'll never trust anyone again. And my son, my own son, that's the one that hurts me the most. Being a dad from such a young age, and then having to be a single dad from 22, I've tried my hardest to give him the best life I could. It hasn't been easy, but up until now, I wouldn't have traded it for the world. But God, I feel so betrayed by him. Don't get me wrong, he's my son, and I absolutely love him, but I don't see how he can make this right. All the respect I had for him has vanished. I don't trust him anymore. Edit. I've made 2 big decisions today. First, I've messaged my ex saying I want to meet up with her and talk. I'm not getting back with her, however, I want to see her face to face, look her in the eyes, and tell her how much she hurt me and that I want no more contact. I might even drop I was going to propose next year before all this happened. It's not for her, it's for me. Second, regarding my son, I've made the decision to sit with him and have him explain to my parents what he did, and why he's had to stay with him so far. I want him to see the disappointment in their eyes, since they're extremely close, and I want him to see that his actions have consequences. If he does that, there's a chance of us working things out. Update 2. I wasn't planning on doing another update originally because I received so many spiteful comments last time, but on the other hand, I also received a lot of support. I thought I'd update those who have been supportive. So basically, I met up with my ex, AJ, and asked her to be honest. I asked her to confess if there was anything going on previously, and if she's ever done anything with anyone else. She denied anything else happening, saying it was literally just this one time where she was out drinking with her friends, and she happened to see my son at a bar, and they drank together. When they were sharing a taxi, he admitted he liked her, made a pass, and that was it. She was saying things like she'd never ever do it normally, but because she hadn't seen me for a little while, and he reminded her of me so much that night, it just happened. I told her to stop blaming the drinks or anyone else for that matter, and that she needed to own up to her own mistakes, no one else. Then, I told her she's the first person I've let in and loved since my late wife, and that I've been happier with her in the past 3 years than I was for years before that. I even told her I was going to propose to her. She broke down, telling me again how sorry she is and to please give her another chance, and that she'll never forgive herself. I told her she needs to one day, so she can learn from this, but that's it for us. I'm blocking her number, email, and I don't want any contact again, and I left. I feel much better after meeting her, as devastated as I am. I do feel like that's a bit of closure. Simply to see that I don't really hate her, but actually pity her, through not being able to control her herself and keep it in her pants. It's cost her a relationship with someone she cares about, and likely will affect her relationships for years to come. Not that I don't think she's any less responsible or deserves what she gets, it has helped me to truly see how immature she is. Before this, I was blissfully ignorant because I was happy. Now, it's made me really conscious of it, and it'll never happen again. As for my son, I realized the other day when I made my post I was very angry, and the way I was typing seemed like I was going to flat out disown him. But let me stress that he's my son and I love him dearly. He's also my wife's son, and I could never just get rid of him, but he has let me down and really hurt me, and I have lost not just all respect for him, but trust as well. When I met with him and heard his side of the story, it was largely the same as hers, but the difference was he said she was being really flirty with him, and she said he really reminded her of me, and that's when he told her he had a crush and made his move. I told him what I wrote out above, that I love him, but have no respect or trust for him anymore. I also told him about my plans, that I was going to propose to her and even have him as my best man. He was gutted, just really silent and started crying. I told him we need to have no contact for a while. He needs to get a job and not work with me on weekends like he does at the moment, and we need to talk to my folks to see if he can stay with them for a bit. He also needed to tell them face to face about what he did, and own his mistakes like a grown-up. So I drove him there and he told them. They were devastated, not just upset, but the look in my mom's eye, I'll never get over that. She told him how disappointed she was in him and that she never thought he'd do something like this. I asked her if he can stay there for the foreseeable future, but not for free. He has to pay his own way, proper board, contribute towards the bills, buy his own food, and she agreed out of respect for me. I also sat him down and showed him that I'd transferred over a large amount of money, and explained that was the money I was saving for AJ's engagement ring, but seeing as what's happened, I want him to have that as a reminder and to use it to pay his grandparents' rent if no one else. He was absolutely stunned at that, trying to give it back. I told him if he does that, we definitely are done. We've agreed on no contact at least until Christmas, and then we could spend Christmas together. I've been largely reflecting over the past few days, mainly on myself and why I went for AJ in the first place. I was extremely flattered when she asked me out, even though I'd never normally consider anyone that young, but in hindsight, she was the same age as my wife when she passed, the same ethnicity, and also did the same sort of job. So I guess I went for it because she was like my late wife, which honestly makes me really sad. I know I can't blame anyone else for that, but it also makes me realize that AJ was my only second ever serious relationship in my life. It also makes me massively miss my wife. I've been just having a bit of me time the past few days, having an Alan Partridge marathon. That was mine and my wife's favorite thing to watch together. It helps me feel close to her when I'm down. I definitely need to work on myself before I ever date again. I think I have too many issues to be a good partner at the moment. If and when I do, I'm not dating anyone her age again.